Welcome to another edition of A Week of Mass Shootings. There were 6 mass shootings from January 8th to January 14th, matching the total we had in the first week, and we sit at 12 on the year right now. There were no mass shootings on the 8th, so we go to January 9th in Portsmouth, Virginia, where 1 was killed and 3 were injured. This is the first one this year for Portsmouth. 18-year-old Ameerah Green was the one that was killed. An adult female and 2 adult males were also injured. Happened at 9:51 p.m. on Tuesday. Neighbors heard an argument before the shooting started. Then they heard 5 to 6 shots, then a pause, and then about 8 more shots. Police are looking for 36-year-old Holly J. Berry in connection to the incident. There were none again on January 10th. So we go to January 11th in Compton, California, where 5 were injured. And this is the first one for Compton this year. And Compton hasn't had a mass shooting since May 8th of 2021. And they had 2 in 2021. And so they went 2 full years without a mass shooting. This one was a drive-by. It happened at 2:30 p.m. And they said the suspect fled the scene. Neighbors say this is the 3rd time this has happened in recent weeks. And this is the 2nd mass shooting in California this year. Okay, there were none on January 12th. So we go to January 13th in Richmond, Texas, where 4 were killed. And this is the first one for Richmond this year and the first one for Texas. And this is the first mass murder of 2024. And this one is a domestic violence situation, family annihilation. It happened at 6:54 a.m. on Saturday. 1 other adult and 2 children survived unharmed. The shooter took his or her, they didn't say who the shooter was, assuming it was his own life. And Richmond is about 30 minutes southwest from downtown Houston, just so you have a general idea of where that one's at. Okay, then we go to January 14th, where we had 3 on January 14th. The first one's in Houston, Texas. And 4 were injured in that one. And this was the first one for Houston this year. The victims were all teens, aged 17 to 19. And this one happened at a party or a large gathering. There was at least 50 to 75 juveniles at this party. It happened at 12:30 a.m. And parties and large gatherings like this is currently the leading cause of mass shootings in America. Okay, also on January 14th in Philadelphia, 2 were killed and 4 injured, and this is the first one for Philly this year. 4 adult males and 2 females were the victims. Both the ones that were killed were both males. They were all aged between 22 and 53, and this one was called an illegal speakeasy at a home. So we're going to call that a bar or nightclub for the purposes of our keeping track of where these things are happening. But it happened at 1 a.m. in the Strawberry Mansion neighborhood. But we'll call that a bar or nightclub. It was illegal what they were doing, but it was technically they were running a bar out of their house. All right, we'll go to still on January 14th, West Point, Mississippi, where 2 were killed and 3 injured. And this is the first one for West Point this year. 26-year-old suspect was Kaelon Collins, and he was arrested. This happened at 1:30 a.m., and they're calling this one a spree shooting because it happened at 2 different locations about a mile apart, but pretty much right after each other. This is the only one where there was a suspect that was arrested, at least at this time. A lot of times these mass shootings, the people get away with it. I mean, when it's not a family thing where it's obvious who it is, or it's not like this where they caught the guy right away, a lot of times they get away with it, especially with the drive-bys, which is probably why we have such a large number of them. So this week, we had 1 drive-by, 1 domestic violence, 1 argument, 1 large party, 1 bar, and 1 shooting spree. So here's the graph for the 12 reported mass shootings of 2024 through the first 2 weeks of the year. I'll mainly just be graphing the top 6 causes, but we'll keep track of all of them. So for example, shooting spree is not on here. as I deem that probably the one that's least likely to be a top 6 cause. And large parties still leads, and drive-bys still come in second. As the years go on, I imagine the bar nightclub and domestic violence ones will also move up into some of the more common causes. This is a weekly video, so if you like this type of content, hit that like button, leave your thoughts in the comments, and consider subscribing. And I'll catch you next week.